Hey guys, video update time. I think we're finally finished with phase 2, or what I've been calling the engineering phase. I've got the motor back in, transmission, transfer case all bolted up, tied together, and secure in where they're going to sit. I ended up moving the transmission back 3 3/4 inches. That was about all I could get out of it, and it's going to leave me needing about 1/4 inch of room in the front to get my electric fans in, but I think I can move the cold air intake and radiator that much. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Instead of just trying to show you what I did after it was done, I put together several small clips of each thing as I was doing it. Made a clip of the motor mounts, the transmission cross member, torsion bar cross member, the body lift, the firewall, anything that looked like it was going to need to be looked at. I went ahead and just made those clips, how I had to work with the adapter bracket. So maybe you can see a little closer in detail what I had to do to get this in here. But anyway, phase 2 is complete. Now I can start putting my wiring harness back down, see what I need to do, see what I need to pull out, see what I need to reroute, start getting my transmission cooling lines back in, my steering and brake lines back in, things like that, and start putting the accessories back on it and start trying to get this thing wrapped up. It's taken longer than I wanted it to, but I've had a lot of interruptions and a lot of sitting and looking and staring and changing and moving. I'll probably have about, I don't know, 54, 55 hours or so in this thing, and probably about 38 to 40 of it is just looking at different scenarios and setups and angles of the motor and all kinds of different things to see what's going to be in the way. So whenever I did go back and weld all that stuff up, that it was going to be like a one and done. I didn't have to take anything back loose and remodify and go backwards. I really didn't want to do that, so I just spent time tacking things in, blocking things up, looking to see things like my turbo, my dipstick for the transmission, all those things, make sure they were all going to fit when I put them back in. But anyway, there she is, and we'll start going back with the wiring and stuff, and we'll give you an update when we get a little further down the line. Thanks, guys. Okay, so for the motor mounts, I was going to originally go with the Gen 2 mounts, but when I got the motor set in, they fell in this area right here. So I was going to have to be making 2 brackets off of this piece, and that wasn't going to work. The frame's actually back here, and this has to do with the steering, the A-arm and all that business. So I also had a set of Gen 1 mounts, and it just so happened that the Gen 1 mounts lined up perfectly with this left side. They didn't line up with the right side. I don't know if you can tell from here, but this cradle pretty well sets directly over the drive shaft. But if you come across onto this side, the drive shaft is about, or the axle, sorry. The axle's about right here, so the cradle's at the very front of it. So they're offset about half a cradle from each other. They lined them up with the bottom half of the motor mount, and they used some god-awful contraptions for motor mounts. I never seen such a mess. Here's the bottom half of it, all contoured and angled, and I don't know what the thought process is here, other than a contoured piece may have more strength than flat. I don't know. But here's the here's the top part of the mount. It sets in, and these motor mounts here are like $230 a set. This piece in the center is actually molded onto the two pieces. But anyway, you know, they set in there kind of like that. But the left side was pretty easy. I don't even know what I did with it. Oh, but here's the right side one. Now, since the cradle was set further back, I had to actually use the bottom half of the motor mount, and you can see I took and cut all the curvy crap out of it and welded me a flat plate in there so I could move my mount up to the front. I think that's going to work alright, so I'll just have to use the bottom half here and bolt it in like it originally sits in the truck. But on the other one, I just built that piece right there. I'm going to set it right on there and weld it on. And with the motor sitting in there and the mounts in there, it's a good angle. The motor mounts don't squish down with the pressure on it. They set right where they're supposed to be. They look like they're going to work fine. Also, the brackets give you a little help if you need room too. As you can tell on the brackets, the bolt holes aren't in the center of the mount. Originally they were on the truck like this. That was still pushing the motor too far forward. I was able to take them off and turn them halfway over, and it helped me run the motor back a little further. So I'm putting them on here like this, and with turns and twists and manipulations, I was able to get everything pushed back where I wanted it to. Now these motor mounts, I'm not real happy at all with them. They are made in Taiwan motor mounts. They were $24 for the set, and I haven't quite figured them out, other than they have the stud in one end and then they've got a little nipple. Well, that tells me that that's what you're supposed to line up, you know, one way or the other. There's that on that side, and this other side, the top part of the bracket has an indentation in it, so I did the same thing. Well, it just so happens that one side, the mount is, this tab here is forward, and on the other side the tab is backwards. Well, I got to investigating that, and I found that it says the tabs are supposed to be backwards. I don't know. I'm going to go with this. If it doesn't work, I'll get some better motor mounts that don't have this. I've seen them. Okay, so here's the transmission cross member, and it was pretty easy to work with. All I did here was this top piece where the transmission sets, I just ground off the welds and took it off. And then after I got the motor and transmission put into place like I wanted it, I took this piece of 4x4 square tubing, quarter wall, notched my holes in the top where I wanted them, made them a little bit longer than the originals just to give me some extra room back and forth for what I needed. Plus also measured the difference in where the transmission was going to sit after I got it dropped into place and the old one, and we'll just take it, weld it into place right there. No big deal. So I wish this whole swap would be this easy, but it's not. So we're going to weld this up and move forward. So here's the torsion bar cross member, and as you can see, I had to hack it up pretty good. The transfer case sits really close as it is, and as you can see, GM has it engineered with a bend in it anyway, because it's really setting about 2 inches in front of this cross member. Then when I had to move that motor back 4+ inches, well, obviously it threw it right in the way. I tried everything I could to drop that cross member, to raise the transmission, all kinds of things, and none of them was going to work. So I finally got tired of working with it and said, I'm just gonna hack it up and make it fit, and we'll go with it and see what we get. I went so far as to even cut these ears off right here, where the bottom of it, they were right here. So I even raised those up about 3/4 of an inch. And I cut out what I thought I was going to need. Actually, I could have cut it a little higher. Left a little more of the original support in it, but fortunately I was able to go to the welding shop, and this piece right here is a piece of 1 inch by 1 inch square tubing, 3/16 wall, and it fit right down in there. So I was able to push that in and weld it up on both sides. I'm not real proud of that, but that's just going to give me something to try, you know, something I can put together and go with and see how it's going to hold. And if it does, I can make something a little cleaner and a little nicer. Maybe just put a top piece in this cutout here and call it good. I don't know. But I was trying anything I could to get any kind of clearance I could. Here's the where that cross member hooks up, and on the truck they're originally like this, and I even went so far as to cut the cut the rivets out of it and turn it around, which, as you can see, dropped it a little bit. And then, as you can tell, the holes aren't straight up and down, but they're angled top to bottom, or when it's originally like this, bottom to top. So when I turned it over, the holes didn't line up, but I was able to line up one of the tops and one of the bottoms, and even move it back a little further, as you can tell from there. So I got, 5/8 of an inch there back. I got about 3/4 of an inch here, and about 3/4 or 7/8 there. So I was able to squeeze a little bit of space out in a few spaces, and then clear my transfer case, because the transfer case is sitting basically now right on the front end of that bracket. But anyway, it's clear, and this is what we're going to go with to try it, and if it doesn't work, we'll try something different.